scared me to death. I was thinking I was going to die at that point, because the more I read about this disease, the more I started reading about people dying from it because it attacks the lungs, it attacks their breathing, and it eventually kills them. So the way it was spreading to me, it was slowly spreading, but I was so scared and so lost that I thought I was going to die. So to give you a little bit of my background, I was raised in the church as a kid. So growing up, I've always believed in God, and I've always had a background in Christianity. My family were really devout Pentecostal churchgoers, and I've always been involved in the church as a child. But somewhere between middle school, high school, and adulthood, between those years, I started distancing myself from God more and more. My my life wasn't easy. Um, I was basically I don't really want to. How should I say this? I really don't want to get too personal on the things that happen in the household between my parents and I and my family. But I will say that it did affect me growing up as a child and into adulthood. So being in school was very difficult. I was really the quiet kid. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I was bullied throughout middle school and in high school. So that really traumatized me. And that really was the turning point for me into adulthood. So I started really distancing myself from God more and more. And as time went by, I really was just very angry. I had this anger within myself that if anybody looked at me wrong, or if anybody just crossed my path wrong with me, I would just blow up, spaz out, and just want to fight them. That's just the way I was. So I started working out. I wanted to get really big because I wanted to be intimidating. Something that I felt when I was a child, I was I wasn't. And that's the reason why I was so belittled and bullied. So as an adult, I now had the opportunity to show others that you can't push me around anymore. You can't bully me. So, anyways, that was really what turned my life around, in the sense where I no longer was thinking about God as far as focusing on Him as I am now. And my whole thing was to be the biggest, baddest, meanest person I could be to gain respect. And if I didn't gain respect, I was going to forcibly get it from others. Now, mind you, I'm not this big tough guy. I never was, but I tried to be. And I put on an act. And so that led me into the wrong road. I started getting in problems with people, and there was one time where I got in a road rage incident with a person, and I was on my way to college. I remember that, and this person, I guess I don't know what he did. I can't remember, but I know that he got out of his car. We exchanged words. I got out of my car, was literally about to punch this guy, and through the grace of God, somehow this man said the police was there across the street, and really diminished that whole confrontation, which led to nothing. I'm glad that that's the way it ended, because I could have been in handcuffs. I could have hit the guy. He could have hit me. I don't know what his intentions were, but thank God that I was able to get out of there safely. And but really, that was really my mentality. Like, if anybody crossed me, or if anybody did something disrespectful to me, I was gonna fight them, or I was gonna go at them. And I didn't really think about the repercussions during that time, because all I thought about was just trying to really gain respect. Again, because I never had it, I wanted to receive it from people. And as time went by, I just started really going onto the wrong path again, and just really thinking about, I started, how can I say this? I started going into bodybuilding and working out a lot, and I started taking drugs, in the sense where anabolic steroid type of drugs for me to gain strength, to gain muscle. And while I was doing that, I was drinking alcohol a lot. I was going to school part time, I was working full time, and then I had this career path or career goal in mind to become this bodybuilder. Mind you, I was lost in the world. I was like, again, I was drinking alcohol, I was listening to a lot of rap music, underground rap music. That was the thing. I would listen to things to pump me up, to give me that sense of, again, that sense of that I was the best, that I was the top guy, that no one could touch me. That's what I liked. And so I got on this journey where I really wanted to uh, become a bodybuilder and be the strongest, most muscular person out there. So again, I was taking actually testosterone that was given to me from an undisclosed person. I'm not going to name who it was, but um, again, my mind wasn't in the right place. But during that time, I was really stressing my body to the max. I was overexerting myself so much that I literally was working out 4 or 5 times a week. I would work out at the gym for like a couple hours and come home, and I would start working out even at home. Mind you, I was going to school part time and I was working full time. So I was putting all that stress on myself, not realizing that that was going to affect me in the long run. So eventually it caught up to me. One day when I was working, I started feeling this tingly sensation in my fingers. And it's something that I've never felt before. It's it's almost like your hand is falling asleep, but normally when your hands and your fingers fall asleep, you regain your sensation again. But for some reason that day, I just I couldn't regain my sensation. It stayed. That tingly sensation just became more and more potent. And as the days went by, it basically started on one finger and then started spreading to all my other fingers on both of my hands. Eventually, the tingling and the numbness started spreading to my feet upwards. That's when I knew something was wrong. And that's when I knew this isn't normal. I know something's going on in my life, and I know something's going on that that's crazy right now because I've never felt this. So I have, again, my parents were really strict. My parents were the type of parents that really didn't like to go out of the way to try to go to hospitals and doctors because to them it was just very inconvenient and financial burden. It's financially burdensome for them to do that. But knowing that your child is going through a situation like this, you would think, hey, we got to get to your emergency, but it wasn't the case. And so I was in a very dark situation during that time in my life. I didn't have any support from them during that time because they didn't know what was going on with me. And so I eventually went to the hospital. I went and saw a doctor. Um, I explained the situation to them, what I felt, what was going on with me. They brushed it off as saying it was anxiety. And so I told them, there's no way this can be anxiety. I mean, like, my body is literally destroyed. I can't lift anything. My muscles were becoming atrophied. I couldn't walk. I could barely walk at this point. I was feeling like I was getting paralyzed. The sensation and the numbness was spreading all over my body. It was to the point when I went to the bathroom, I couldn't even feel when I was urinating or even, doing number two. Everything was just, it was crazy. I didn't know what was happening. So I told them, like, you got to find out. I'm not leaving here until I get an answer. But they weren't really helpful. They were saying this could be anxiety, this could be a number of things, to give it a few more days. And I went home. Even though that I was feeling this way, I went home. So it was getting progressively worse as time went on. And so I went to like three different doctors. Another doctor told me I have neuropathy, foot drop on both my legs, because I couldn't raise my legs up. I couldn't even like put my heels up, from, when you just stand up on your tippy toes. I couldn't even do that. So I knew something was wrong and no one was trying to help me. I started researching online on seeing what was going on with me. Eventually, I found something online and I knew that this was what it was. And I looked up Guillain-Barré syndrome, and I said, this has to be what's going on with me. So we went back to the hospital once again for the last time, and I told them exactly what was happening. And so I was the one that basically diagnosed myself and told the doctor, this is what I have. I need you to confirm this, please. So they had to do a spinal tap. They had to draw blood from or spinal fluid from my back, which is a big needle like this that goes through your spine to take out the fluid to check and see what you have. Lo and behold, that's exactly what I had. I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a very rare syndrome. It's a rare disease, something I've never even heard about. So again, this shook my whole world. It turned my world upside down. I was in the darkest place that you can imagine. I didn't know that this was something that I could have for the rest of my life. As the doctor put it, what he told me, he was like, the way that your body is now, even though you're young and you may get a full recovery, there's a chance that you may still not be able to walk properly again, or you might even end up in a wheelchair. That scared me to death. I was thinking I was going to die at that point, because the more I read about this disease, the more I started reading about people dying from it, because it attacks the lungs, it attacks their breathing, and it eventually kills them. So the way it was spreading to me, it was slowly spreading, but I was so scared and so lost that I thought I was going to die. So thankfully, they got the right diagnosis. They had to do this this cleansing of my blood, which is called plasmapheresis, where they take the blood out of my body and circulate it back in, cleanse it in order for me to get new antibodies. And eventually that cleared everything. And within a month or so, I would say, I started regaining my strength slowly but surely. I wasn't 100% good, but I was starting to regain my strength. Now, what really, really got me throughout this time, because again, even though my family was the way they were throughout that time, they really were ignorant of the fact of what I was feeling. They were still there in the hospital with me, but during that time, God never left my side. And I'm going to tell you why. Because throughout this whole ordeal, I had so many people come up to me. They've never seen this before from a young person. Even I've had nurses, I've had people that would come and bring the food to me at the hospital. I'm going to tell you, almost 10 or 11 people told me to read the book of Job. Start reading the book of Job. And that really was like, wow, that was the turning point. I was like, why are all these people telling me to read the book of Job? Now, mind you, I read the Bible in the past, but I never dig deep into the Bible and reading scripture as much as I wanted to. But when they told me that and what I went through, I started reading the book of Job. And that was like, wow, that was like the turning point in my life. I'm telling you, that opened my eyes to show me that no matter your struggles, no matter your pain and suffering, that God will always be there for you, and God will comfort you throughout this as long as you have the faith in Him. And although that I was going through this turmoil and this, despair, I was still going to God. I had faith in God that I was going to get through this. Obviously, I was scared. I was scared out of my mind thinking I was going to die, but even though that I was lost in the world during that time, my faith in God was still there. And I would pray every night in that hospital, praying to Jesus to please heal me, please get me out of this. I want to be able to walk again. I would look at people walking and doing daily things and envy them because I couldn't do those things. I couldn't even brush my teeth properly because every time I pick up the toothbrush, it would fall. I wouldn't even be able to write my own name on a piece of paper. That's how much strength I've lost from my body. And it was almost like a test. And that's why it comes, and that's why I think about Job, because he went through all those tests. He went through all that suffering. And in the end, he had so much faith in God that he never once blamed God for the things that he was going through. And I look back at that now, and I look back at what happened to me during that time. And this is just one of many testimonies that I have that God has healed me and saved me. But this is one of the biggest ones because it was one of the darkest moments in my life where I thought I was going to lose my life and where I thought this was the end. I lost everything. I basically stopped going to school. I stopped my goal, a career goal in bodybuilding. I wasn't working out anymore, but I think it was for the best because I was doing things for the wrong reasons. The alcoholism that I was under, drinking all day, drinking every day before I go to school to really relax and ease my anxiety and pain. With this journey through God, I removed all of that. And He was able to do that for me. And it was amazing because this is something that I never thought this happened almost 13, 14 years ago as a 23-year-old man. I never thought that this would ever happen to me. I felt invincible. I felt like, hey, nothing can touch me. I was doing everything I wanted to do. I was living my life, but life hit me and it hit me hard and put me to the ground. I hit rock bottom during that time. Even though I still had my family, I felt like I was done. But in the end, God lifted me up from that bed the same way He lifted up Lazarus and rose him from the dead. He rose me from that bed. And through the grace of Jesus Christ, I'm here today stronger than ever and more faithful to Him than ever before. Because I can surely say to you today that I no longer have pain in my body. I am no longer paralyzed. I am healed through the love of Jesus Christ. And although my testimony, and there's many millions of other testimonies out there just like mine, I just want to give you guys encouragement and tell you that no matter what you go through in life and no matter the struggles and the pain and suffering that you go through, these things are surely will come to pass because these are the things that build you up as a person and builds you up as a man or woman of God. Once you go through these things, these are testimonies that you have to give to people for encouragement, to lift them up during a dark hour that they may be living. And so I'm hoping through this testimony that I'm giving you guys here on YouTube that this can lift you up and give you some sort of encouragement and some sort of strength through whatever pain that you're going through. And know that nothing's impossible for God. Nothing's impossible for Him to accomplish in your life. All you have to do is just keep the faith within Jesus Christ, and He will give you peace and He will grant you that clarity and healing that you need in your life. And I just wanted to share this testimony with everyone today. And this is the first time I'm actually sharing this in front of a camera and to thousands of people or hundreds of people that may watch this video on YouTube, on the internet. And I just want to use this to give encouragement to everyone out there to never give up and to not give up, even though you may think that you may be on your last breath or on your darkest hour, that you may think you're going to die. Always have that faith that Jesus will get you through it. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope I was able to encourage you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and God bless.